Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you both for your commitment to this and having this hearing. Mr. Deutsch, thank you. Very interesting testimony up till now, and I hope it will continue. 110 nations have ratified the Paris climate deal, which will demonstrate and initiate a need for nuclear power. Here at home, more than 360 businesses and investors support the Paris Climate Agreement and a low-carbon energy future for the United States. I'm very concerned about President-elect Trump's statements about withdrawing from the Paris Agreement. Many nuclear companies and supporters recognize the need for nuclear energy to meet emission goals, especially in the short term when we need dramatic movement on emissions. Won't withdrawing from Paris have potentially negative consequences on the future of nuclear power? Could you give me a yes or no on that, and then you can expand, of course.
I don't think so, Senator.
You don't think so?
I don't think I can give you a yes or no answer.
Okay, go ahead.
No. I don't think it's a question which, you know, my credentials here are to report on the Secretary of Energy's advisory board, not to make comments.
But the expertise that you have directly reflects on this question.
Senator, I'm just not going to be able to be helpful to you on this. I mean, I would go in a completely different direction, but this is not the occasion to address the question of Paris or now they're in Morocco now, right? That's where they are. Secretary Moniz and Secretary Kerry, unless they're coming back, they've been planning for COP22.
Right.
But I'm not the person to. Here, I'm not the person to ask about this.
Okay. Today, 20% of the U.S. electricity, and as the chairman said, 63.3% of our carbon-free electricity is produced by approximately 100 light water nuclear reactors. However, many of these plants may be prematurely closing before their 2030 planned retirement, which will result in an increased proportion of energy produced by carbon-emitting sources unless other renewables, solar, wind, are able to replace the capacity of these LWRSs. What structural or statutory changes are needed to ensure that our current nuclear energy fleet remains a part of the U.S.'s carbon-free energy grid, and what structural or statutory changes are needed to enable nuclear innovation and the modernization of nuclear energy reactors?
Sir, the answer is that there has to be market redesign. And that subject is dealt with in great detail, market redesign and some choices, what choices have to be made in the report. I would not have that, you would want to hear me talk about all of them, but let me just say that you cannot have the circumstances now with around the country, not everywhere in Southeast, the United States is an exception. You cannot have the market you have giving preference to, in the dispatch of electricity, to non-baseload generating plants so that they cannot make money even if they were cheaper. So you have to find some solution to that. That has to be done on a state-by-state basis. And it's a very, very tough task, but otherwise you're going to continue to have more early retirements, like happened in California.
And I want to ask that first question in a little different way. I mean, there are many efforts, both at the international level, at the state level, and at our national level, to push us towards renewable sources of energy. Pulling back on those, do you think would be a good idea?
No.
Okay. Now, nuclear energy has a production tax credit incentive and has had it for many, many years, as you know. However, that credit has now expired, and the nuclear industry is preparing to ask Congress for new forms of support. On the other hand, while renewable energy credits were recently extended, as you know, they are being phased out, and there's no guarantee they will be extended again. Rather than Congress debating and continuing new technology-specific tax credits like the nuclear PTC or renewable PTCs, would the best policy be a technology-neutral price on carbon, which would promote all clean energy technologies, including nuclear, renewables, and carbon capture and sequestration?
You say, I didn't quite get the last sentence, sir.
The last is and it's a long one, so I'm going to do it again here, so I understand that. Rather than Congress debating and continuing new technology-specific tax credits that I mentioned earlier, like the nuclear PTC or renewable PTCs, would the best policy be a technology-neutral price on carbon, which would promote all clean energy technologies, including nuclear, renewables, and carbon capture and sequestration?
Absolutely, yes.
And that's your
report. And I would include in that all the oil and gas drilling things as well, which gives subsidies for certain kinds of fossil fuels. The answer is yes. A single carbon charge, how the revenue is spent is critical to how it looks elsewhere. But the answer is yes, it would be the most efficient way to do it. And that's some members of my task force think that's exactly what should be done. But that's not part of our report because we're asked to frame an initiative, not to say balance it with all these things we're now discussing.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.